Hi, today I'm going to talk about rituals in Ecuador. I will talk about specifically a ritual in a community in the south of the country. Rituals are very strong and have been present in our continent and our culture for ages, specifically here in the case of Ecuador. The indigenous rituals are an element we can't ignore because despite of what and how we consider ourselves as Ecuadorians, compared to the indigenous culture, we can't deny they play a big role in our lives and our customs and traditions. Besides, either we accept it and like it or not, all of us have indigenous blood. I am from Loja, and very close to the city of Loja, the Saraguro community lives. When I was young, my school used to invite them to show us their traditions and their parades, and the one that always catched my attention was the Inti Raymi parade, because they went with special clothing and began to dance and all sort of things, all because and this in honor of the god Sun. The image at the top of the screen is Inti Raymi ritual and Inti Raymi parade. This is not an image from the Saraguro culture, from the Saraguro community, but it's an example of how it is. The image at the bottom is they are two Saraguro ladies, and this is how they dress normally. If we talk of enculturation and acculturation, I think it is a mix of both of them. First, I think it's an enculturation because, as I said before, all of us have at least some indigenous blood in our genetics. This was the conclusion of a study that said that every Ecuadorian inhabitant has at least a few indigenous blood in their genetics. So I think it's an enculturation because it's a way of learning more about our culture and getting to know some of the traditions that are very important for the indigenous. On the other side, I think it's an acculturation because in my case I don't consider myself as an indigenous, and it's a way to learn about another culture. So I think it's a case where both enculturation and acculturation are present. Finally, in terms of how this ritual made me identify it with some aspects in the world, in terms of talking about how the world works, it helped me to be aware as a kid that even though there are elites that are running the world and are in power positions, there are also minorities and common people that live their lives attached to what they believe and their worldviews, and evade globalization. The ritual informed me about my place in the world in terms that not only the Ecuadorian culture is highly influenced by indigenous, but also that we as Ecuadorians should be proud about our cultural mix and that these make us different from another country's inhabitants. Related to how to act in the world, the ritual made me aware that we shouldn't have any complex or be ashamed of demonstrating where we come from, and instead we should exalt our roots and be proud of them. And talking about how to evaluate what happens in the world, in a globalized world, it helps to evaluate and to verify that even though globalization phenomenon is enormous, there are still people who refuse to lose their identity and who try to spread it all over. This was my presentation. Thank you very much.